I think there are going to be a lot of guys in their 40s and 50s that are going to draw inspiration from your content because it really is this. It's an unfortunate misconception of like, hey, I hit 45 and it's all just downhill from here.
Yes.
Where I feel like even since we've known you, you're continuing to level up physically, mentally, etc. What have been some of the biggest levers for you to pull, either in terms of the way you train, the way you eat, contrast therapy, whatever it is? What are those like pillars that you make sure you try and get in every day or every week to make you feel as sharp as you feel now?
So I absolutely, some non-negotiables at this point in my life. I have to train and train really, really hard. And so I want to give credit to my coach if I can. Juan Leja over at On It. And I think having a coach, but much less one that is personally invested in your well-being, can help you. I teamed up with Juan maybe 5 years ago, and I had to take a hiatus when I moved to Nashville, right? But that kind of was a pivotal turning point in my mind, or my life, only because, I just established I'm not an expert, right? But to have somebody that is okay, so you tell me what you want to do. You want to work hard. You want to leave everything on the table with our hour session. Great, you're going to get it. And that guy is not wavered from that, right? And so anyway, so training with Juan changed my life. And so I love that dude. I truly think he's the best coach in the country. That's a non-negotiable, is to train hard because I learned from his example. Another one, contrast therapy these days. And I'll tell you, some days I don't feel like doing it, if I'm being honest. Some days I feel the physical effects. But also it's almost like it's literally, which is impossible, clears the cobwebs in my mind, right? And so I love that. So that's a non-negotiable these days. But also just, I don't know, man, practicing what I preach.
Yeah.
I damn sure will never be a guy that just talks. I want to walk the walk, And so I have to check myself. You're not going to be a fraud today, and check those certain boxes and let's get it done. And so, but training, it's first and foremost, I have to.
Yeah.
And I absolutely have to. It's not a meathead thing. I have to for mind and body.
It's funny. There's so many misconceptions around hiring a personal trainer.
Yeah.
But I think about, we played baseball in college. That's how Harry and I became friends. Yeah. Why are coaches so important in sports? And then you just get kind of shot out into the real world and you don't have a coach.
Sure.
For fitness, just to be able to outsource that decision where you're like, I'm going to get my ass kicked, but I don't have to think about it. I just have to show up and I know that this specialist is going to teach me everything I need to teach.
Sure.
I could see why that would be super impactful.
It's huge to me, and I don't know about you guys. I can't push myself. I try to push myself really hard alone. But I'm going to say this again. My particular coach, Juan, is so personally, we're the best of friends, and I just really admire who he is. But anyway, he's personally invested in getting me better, and I can tell that on a daily basis. And so, to your point, it's good that it's almost like when you ask having Chad in the bar business, right, to lean on. It's the same thing with a good coach, in my humble opinion. And there are days I don't want to get my ass whipped, excuse the language, on a daily basis. But he's not going to let me fail. And so those are the times that, and I want to put out there, I feel privileged to be able to afford a coach as consistent as I do. I feel very lucky. But that man, he just will not let me fail. What more could you ask for? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
totally.
What more could you ask for? And so...
Is there any workout in particular that you just dread when you see him write up the workout and you're just like, oh, Juan, why are you putting this on for today?
I'll try to make this one quick. I was training for something. It was a Crucible event, and I've talked often about it. I won't bore you guys, but it's led by Navy SEAL guys, and they put you through essentially their hell week. Long story. I'll leave it at that.
Kokoro? Mark Devine, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes,
Wow.
sir. Yeah. Hardest thing I've ever done, most fulfilling thing. Oh, by far. Harry, I mean...
The oil field? Harder than the oil fields?
It makes the oil fields look like vacation in Southern California with the prettiest girl by your side, feed you grapes and champagne, buddy. I'm dead serious. It's
buds for civilians. That's literally what it is.
That's
crazy.
And you're spot on. How they started this, they started it for young men that had contracts going to the SEALs. They wouldn't let civilians do it. They had such a high success rate of people going through buds from their program. They said, okay, we'll let civilians do it. They don't take it easy. They don't back off. And so it's 53 hours. You don't sleep a wink. You go out to Southern California, you do the whole surf torture, sands, logs, everything that those guys do, you do. True story. They have 25 or 30% completion rate. Anyway, and I mean, yes, it's by far the hardest thing. And in fact, I would highly encourage you guys to do it.
Really?
When we secured that event, I vividly remember, I swear to God, I felt taller walking through the San Diego airport coming home, knowing that I did
Wow.
it. First time I tried it, I wound up in the hospital with rhabdo for 4 days and then came back and did it. Anyway, so I didn't mean to ramble, but it's so good.
That's wild.
It's so good. But back to Juan, the one workout, this is how good he is. He heard I wanted to train from that. We talked about it. He said, well, send me footage of what they do. And you can't find it because it's so secretive, right? Well, you can find SEAL training. So Juan took it upon himself to find actual SEAL training. And this guy, and you know, without being a meathead, I won't, but we had, combination supersets of like 20 reps with 225 on the squat bar, immediately followed by a sled push 20 yards there and back, and then log presses, weighted log presses. And I remember at the end of those workouts, physically thinking I was going to die. And you think I'm joking? There were 3 times I literally thought I was going to die on it. But shook his hand. Thank you. I love you. I hate you. I'll never do that to me again. We'd go for round 2 the next
I'll see you Friday.
Yes, sir.
It's like that type of workout where your heart rate gets to a point where it almost feels like you have like battery acid in your throat. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh man, it's I don't want to gross out I do know what you're talking about, and I won't gross out the listeners. I can't count the number of times I've ran out back of on it and lost my breakfast and come right back, and he won't. Cool, you're good. Cool, let's go.
Let's go.
And no
Next
breaks.
rep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's tough.